So while we may love LA, I don't think we love the current state of football. You'll notice the hat. This is one of my students gave me. Welcome to LA Rams Central, episode 98. Rapidly approaching number 100, and we have a format discussion that we're going to get into later. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
Welcome to another episode of LA Rams Central. So, Eric, you had the agenda as far as what you want to talk about today. Go ahead and start us off.
Well, preseason has started, and there's been some joint practices by some teams and upcoming joint practices by other teams, and there's still one holdout from the rookie class that hasn't signed yet, and it's becoming a really big cluster F, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
There's also been other holdouts by other prominent players. Some of these players are actually pretty big names. We're going to start with the rookie. Roquan Smith is the only rookie to not have signed his deal. Now, this is actually becoming quite the joke around the Chicagoland area, because not only have I read stories and reports and listened to radio and whatnot just to get the gist of what's going on, but at first, Roquan Smith and the Bears have yet to come to an agreement. Smith has wanted language to protect himself from the Bears if Smith gets ejected or suspended or whatnot, that he wants to have his signing bonus money stay in his pocket, which, you know what, you're a rookie, you're probably not making any money in college, I'm assuming. Those are the rules. Rules are always broken. However, he wants to get paid and he wants to keep his money, and rightfully so. Okay, I agree with him there. And they're trying to put language in the contract where he gets to keep his money and the Bears don't get to take any money. Again, I agree with that, but the Bears want other specific language in the contract. And now Roquan is saying that he wants guarantees from the Bears that, for the new helmet rule, for any other off-field suspensions or whatnot, and that I don't agree with. So there needs to be some common ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm wondering, this is day 26 that Roquan has been held out, or has been holding out, and it doesn't seem there's an end in sight. Well, the funny thing is that Roquan Smith's agency is also the same agency of Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is currently not in camp. Aaron Donald wants quarterback money. Aaron Donald's not going to get quarterback money.
No.
So apparently they're about $5 million off from the last report that I've read. So there's got to be some common ground there. You need to pay your own. They paid Cooks, which I'm sure he wasn't happy with, because the Rams took care of somebody else that wasn't in the Ram family, or as you guys like to call it, the Ramley.
Yep.
So then Todd Gurley gets an extension, and Aaron Donald must be thinking to himself, hey, that's great, but I should be next. Where's mine? Where's my piece of pie?
Yeah.
And so he's still holding out, and then they're trying to determine if what kind of free agency he'll have if he doesn't report by, I believe, the first week or week 2.
Yeah.
The second holdout is Khalil Mack. Now, apparently, from what I've heard, and I don't know if it's entirely true, but Khalil Mack and John Gruden haven't spoken since February or around there. Apparently, there's been some calls back and forth, but they weren't able to connect. But there's a player right there. He could help out 31 other teams in a heartbeat.
Don't you think, though? Hold on.
Hold on. I got one more. And then the other one is Earl Thomas. Now, I'm not going to rank these guys in order on who's the best and who's the worst out of those four, because they're all great players. Okay, and I know you guys are all going to say Donald, which I would agree with you. And then there's Mack and Earl Thomas and Roquan Smith. And Earl Thomas is very intriguing, because if Seattle trades him, Earl wants to go to Dallas, which, it's fine and great, but he can't catch football. and he's not a tight end or a wide receiver, but he's a big difference making safety on in the defense. So how is everything going to be handled? How are things going to get resolved? Who's going to budge first? And it just amazes me that these four guys are holding out. They want better opportunities, but more money, which I get. Go for the money. That's fine. No problem with you going for the money, because if you deserve it, you deserve it. But I'm on the outside looking in, and Anthony, go ahead with what you were going to say.
I think Khalil Mack, for me, is a one-trick pony. He doesn't set the edge very well when it comes to stopping the run. He's terrible in pass coverage when he does go out and cover. All he can do is rush the quarterback. I don't think Khalil Mack can...
Sometimes that's just what you need.
Right, but that's not going to help 31 other teams. That's going to help maybe 5 or 6 other teams. And are you really going to pay a guy number one linebacker money for one down?
That all depends on how you value him at.
Well, I don't value him as much as he clearly values himself. And, I watched a lot of Raider games last year, and I went, oh, that was a missed tackle by Khalil Mack. Oh, he didn't stay home on that play, and that's why that play just ripped off for a 30-yard run. The Raiders didn't make the playoffs last year, and Khalil Mack's had 2 good years in his career. That's it. 2. And one of them was a really good year, like Defensive Player of the Year good, and the other one was, hey, this guy has some talent. It's not like it was 2, J.J. Watt type seasons, and yet everybody's losing their mind. I think the overvalue of NFL football players today is higher than it's ever been. I don't think there's more than maybe 4 or 5 really good quarterbacks in this league. I don't think any of the backups are worth spit. And when it comes to the running game, it's pathetic watching running backs today. I'm sitting there going, I could count on 2 hands, and that's it. The amount of running backs that I would even want to watch on TV. And even less than that I would pay money to go see. All the positions are overvalued. Everything's overinflated, and at some point it needs to correct itself. Now, as far as Earl Thomas goes, the Seahawks are the classic example of a football team that got comfortable. Now it thinks it has a fan base that will support it no matter what, like the Dallas Cowboys, and they figure they can just blow this thing up and put a mediocre product on the field, and they'll come out and buy tickets and watch their football games, and everything's going to be good. Like the Cubs did for 2 decades, for a while there, after I would say 89. Why do we need to put a product on the field? They're going to come watch it. They're really overestimating that. I think it's a disgrace that Earl Thomas hasn't gotten a contract yet. Considering everyone you've let go, this is all you've got left. And I expect loyalty from my players, but I can't expect loyalty from my players when I don't get loyalty from the ownership. And it's not like Earl Thomas is trying to break the bank here.
No, but here's the thing. Earl Thomas, Ken Chancellor, Richard Sherman. What side of the ball do they all play on?
Defense.
Okay. What big offensive line signing do you remember that the Seahawks have ever done?
The guy from Minnesota.
Steve Hutchinson?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem right there. That's why Russell Wilson is running for his life. That's why everybody thinks Russell Wilson is mediocre, because he's got no time to throw in the pocket. But they had a great defense. Now those defensive players have left. They wanted to say, okay, they finally realized what they've done, and now they're going through that transition, but they lost those defensive guys. Chancellor's pretty much done. He didn't retire, but he's done. He's got that neck injury. Thomas ain't coming back unless he gets overpaid, which who knows if that's going to happen, or he'll get traded. And then, Sherman bolted. He left because the Seahawks cut him. But now, what do they have? They got a rookie running back who's going to essentially take over the number 1 job. Pro size who can't stay healthy. They lost Paul Richardson to Washington. Doug Baldwin is their number 1 wide receiver.
Eric, the problem is if you are going to put a product on the field that people want to watch, you have to have talent on both sides of the ball. This is the other problem I have with the NFL today. They focus on one side of the ball and not the other. It's like no general manager in professional football is capable at looking at both sides of the ball. They are incapable of going, well, we have good defensive players, so now let's focus on offense and let's make sure that we keep these good defensive players so the guys we get on offense will actually have a defense that will put them and give them more opportunities. Your offense, I don't care if you have Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, and the 72 Dolphins offensive line. You've got Larry Zonka, Walter Payton, Gale Sayers, Red Grange, and Eric Dickerson as your running back. Your offense isn't going to score every time they have the football. They're just not. And some games, they're going to need multiple opportunities before they get that train running. And if you have a defense like the Rams did, say, in 2000, where they kicked off and 2 plays later it was 7-0, it doesn't do you any good. Even if your offense is scoring 45 points a game and you're only, and your defense is giving up 42 points a game, that's going to add up.
Oh, no doubt at all. And I mean, you see this through the years too, as far as, especially the Bears. When Jerry Angelo was the general manager for the Bears, what did he draft? Defense. He couldn't hit on an offensive player if they were right in front of him. And he's like, you have Joe Montana, Emmett Smith, Jerry Rice, and then you have Joe Blow on defense. I'm going to draft Joe Blow.
Yeah.
Because that's all I know is defense.
It's ridiculous. It really is. So the Cam Chancellor thing for me is a classic example of, and this is to the fans out there, if you want to know why guys aren't loyal to their teams, it's because the teams aren't loyal to their guys. I remember Jerry Rice getting a contract in 95, 96. He didn't really have a particularly strong 95 season or a 96 season. But the Niners knew what he did for them, and they gave him a contract that he wanted, and maybe they a little bit overpaid for him. But they respected the fact, and he gave him 2 more good years before he turned around and bolted for, Oakland? So, yeah. I mean, you just, 3 good, I say 2 good years because 1 year he got injured and he didn't return, but, because he had the knee injury. But, you can't be so hard on these players when your team is pulling this crap. So, as far as Aaron Donald goes, I'm beyond pissed off right now. I don't enjoy being lied to. And you
should be. You should have been paid last year.
Right. I don't enjoy being lied to by ownership or by general manager. I don't appreciate somebody going, oh, we've got Aaron Donald's contract. It's just a matter of him signing the dotted line, and we have, we've got the money put away for him.
The worst thing that the Rams could do is not pay him this year and then franchise him next year. The worst thing they could do.
Well, I'll tell you why. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but with a franchise tag, A, the player doesn't have to sign it, right?
Right.
And B,
he doesn't have to sign it, but obviously he loses out on all that guaranteed money.
But somebody else will pay him.
Somebody else will pay him, yes, but I don't see the Rams getting into a Kirk Cousins-like situation.
No. Derek, I'll tell you why. Because if I'm Aaron Donald, I'm like, I'm not signing a franchise tag. I'll play. But I'm not going to play for your organization at the end of this year. Period. And whether he's a restricted free agent or an unrestricted free agent, you name me one team, just one, that wouldn't trade a number 1 and a number 2 the next 2 years to get Aaron Donald.
Oh, I'd be first in line.
Right. So Aaron Donald really does have all the cards after this year.
And I would personally call Dan Hampton and see if we can unretire his number.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So Aaron Donald has all the cards. All of it. Because he doesn't have to sign the franchise tag. He could put one more really good year out there. And even if he got injured, I don't think there's a single team out there that wouldn't give up a number 1 and number 2 to get him if he was restricted, or wouldn't offer him the house to come to them. So the Rams better figure this out. And what really pisses me off about Aaron Donald is they lied to us. They said they had this under control, and they obviously didn't. I agree with you. It ain't going to be a Kirk Cousins situation. It's going to be a Deion Sanders and the Atlanta Falcons situation. I don't need you. I don't want you. And goodbye. So they better get it done. Especially the way they played last night against Baltimore. They better get it done.
Yeah, I saw that. It's first preseason game, but 33-7, and you don't score your 7 points in the fourth quarter.
And you can't tackle anybody for 4 quarters? 60 minutes of no tackling. That's what I saw.
I've always wondered what the point of joint practices was. I mean, okay, so the only storyline coming out of the joint practice or going into the joint practice was Talib versus Crabtree, because we know they've had a history against each other. Not a great one. But like nothing happened in practice, which is great. There should have been no fighting in practice anyways. Nobody wants that. Nobody needs to see that. That's child's play, if you ask me. And then obviously I heard that they played little or none in the game, which again, you're a veteran. You know what you've gone through. You don't need to play in that first game. Play a little bit in the second. Play majority in the third, and then take the fourth off.
Well, I'll get to the Ram game in a minute. I want to finish with Roquan Smith.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm 100% behind Roquan here. You have rules right now that officials don't understand. You could theoretically be ejected from the game for a perfect shoulder-to-chest hit, but it looked bad. And there's...
reviewable.
No, it's not. It is not reviewable.
It should be.
Oh, I agree with you. I think pass interference, I think helmet to helmet, and I think holding should be, or not holding, but illegal contact downfield should be reviewable. Because I have a theory.
I'll tell you this much too. If you're going to review pass interference, and if you call defensive pass interference, you can change your call then to offensive pass interference.
I'm for that. Those are 3 penalties that change the entire complexion of a game on a given win. And I can't tell you how many times, I think there should be a rule too. If the quarterback is clearly looking to his right the entire time and throws right, and there was defensive holding on the left side of the ball, and the quarterback never even looked over there, don't throw a flag. It's not a penalty. Only if the quarterback is surveying the entire field and it happens. Because I can't tell you how many times I've seen, and this, I love how the network pulls this off too, right? So they'll call illegal contact downfield. They won't show the replay. They won't show the illegal contact downfield.
Oh, I know. That's been happening for years.
I know. Because you know why?
Or if they do have that on camera, they'll go to it once to be like, oh no, what are they talking about? That wasn't illegal contact or anything.
Yeah. I remember watching Monday night. I was watching the '89 season on DVD. A lot of my games, and Dan Dierdorf was like, "I'm just not going to say it." And then you hear Al Michaels and Frank Gifford go, "No, go ahead, Dan." He's like, "All right, run the replay. Where is this a penalty?" Like he just lays into the officials, right? You don't get that anymore. You see a guy just getting screwed on a call. And what do they say? I could kind of see where the ref saw that. I mean, remember the speed of the game, but you can't touch the guy and you can't do that. And it's like, dude, there was no penalty. There was no penalty.
No, here's what they do. Here's what they do. They go to L.A. or they go to New York with the former head of referee who used to be on the field 20 years ago, who's now got thick glasses, 5 inches thick, 6 inches thick, and they're like, oh no, you see right here, he barely breathed on him, so that's a penalty.
Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. So Roquan Smith saying, I'm not going to be subject to this. I'm not going to lose money because right now the rules aren't clear, they aren't defined, and we see it in college all the time. We're going to be doing a college show. We see it in college all the time. A guy gets thrown out of a game. At least what I love about college is I heard one guy, Eric, last year, the announcer went off. You literally could hear his anger. He's like, that is a terrible call. You just threw this kid out of the game and he didn't do a dang thing wrong. Like he was going off on the event. I was like, oh crap, this guy's going full-blooded postal. Like, That's what I want as a fan. I want to know that you're just as outraged seeing this ridiculousness as me, because that then makes them more accountable. But see, in the NFL, none of that happens. So Roquan Smith saying, I'm not unless I have language that guarantees if I get ejected because the official saw a phantom helmet to helmet, that I'm not going to lose a paycheck, I'm for it. In fact, he should have language in there that says if he is suspended for helmet to helmet, that he doesn't lose pay at all.
I do agree, but both sides need to come to an agreement. So the Bears are trying to be hard-nosed. Roquan's trying to be hard-nosed. And listen, I get it. Listen, it's your rookie contract, okay? Get it and get into camp. You're not going to get paid until you sign this contract. Obviously, you're not going to get paid until week 1 or right after. But, I know they're not haggling over money because the money's already basically set in stone, okay? Ever since they went to the new way of doing it after Sam Bradford has made $200 million and played only 16 games in his career.
Right.
However, it's the language. It's like somebody needs to budge. Nobody's willing to budge.
Well, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying right now the side that needs to budge is the Bears. If they can't understand how skewed these rules are for the offense side of the ball and how vulnerable these defensive players are, what I'm concerned about is, I'm not concerned about it, I'm pretty sure it's already happening. The amount of head injuries are going to increase because offensive players can go. It's weird. It used to be when I played football, man, defense was the side of the ball you wanted to be on because you could be reckless, careless, fly around. You didn't have to think too much on defense. You just had to react. Now in football, on the offense side of the ball, you don't have to think at all. You can just react because you know that defender. Now, let's look at all that the defender has to think about, okay? So offense, you've got to know the play. You've got to know where to go. You've got to know that the quarterback knows where to go, or not. You don't even have to worry about that. You have to know the play. You have to know the count. You have to know where to go. You have to catch the football, and that's it. It used to be, then you had to worry about where the defense was positioned. You had to worry about where the contact zone was. You had to know how to avoid the contact zone after you caught the ball and maneuver your way through the defense. Those 4 equations are gone now. It's just 4 things. On defense, it's I have to know my play. I have to know my zone. I have to recognize what my opponent is doing on the offensive side of the ball. I have to wait. Now, I can't just hit him when the ball gets there. I have to wait. I have to make sure he comes down with 2 feet. I have to ask him if it's okay to hit him. I have to ask him where I can hit him. Then I have to gently hit him. Then I have to slowly wrap him up. And, I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating the last 5 steps, but
that's what the Saints were thinking on Stephon Diggs' touchdown.
That's exactly why Stephon Diggs' touchdown happened. Because the guy didn't want to get a penalty, and he did a half-hearted launch and was like, am I going to get flagged for this? And he missed entirely.
Right.
Because if he did hit him, it would have been a 15-yard penalty, and the Vikings would have been in field goal range. The whole thing is ridiculous. So the Bears are the ones that need a budge here, not Roquan. I'm sorry. Roquan is 100% in the right here. And I would argue that this may be the way, like this is going to be the future wave of rookie contracts, especially on the defense side of the ball. Some kind of guarantee against the league.
You know, the thing that is okay with me with him holding out, okay, it sucks, yes, okay? It's the only remaining, the spotlight's on you. Sam Darnold just signed last week. But here's the thing. Roquan's a linebacker. Linebacking plays and the way you play linebacker doesn't really change. You see the ball, you hit the ball.
But if the running back drops and you hit the running back in the head, you get ejected now. That's where it's different.
That's the problem, too. Where the running back can drop his head and hit you, but it looks like it's and you go in to hit him in the chest, he lowers his head, and helmet to helmet, you get flagged, which is crap. Absolute crap. We've talked about this before. Mm-hmm. Last year we did, or last season, and, they're not, they have yet to say anything about that, but then you basically just, take your hand and say, hey, good job on the other player when he gets up from tackling him, and the flag comes out, oh, helmet hit. Your hand touches helmet.
Dude, what was it? What was it? Von Miller last year said something to Tyrod Taylor and made him laugh, and the ref flagged him for trash talking. That happened to Tremaine Johnson last year. Dude, let him play the game. Why do you got to be a part of the football game? I'll tell you why. Because every single one of them, All 100% of these officials are betting on games. And they're getting away with it. It's not even debatable anymore. They are betting on the games. And the outcome and the score matters. Did you know, somebody went back and did the statistic and it's true. The last 3 years, okay, since they really started screwing with the rules on defense, the last 3 years, Vegas is 91% per week on the spread, which is a 22% increase on average per week than its winnings were the year prior. 3 years prior. In other words, more and more teams aren't able to cover the spread. So those spreads are getting smaller and smaller, and more teams are covering those spreads, and because it's so easy. It's so easy to score. You can go 3 and out, have the 3 worst plays I've seen in my life, and the official goes, defensive holding, 5-yard penalty, start over again. Oh, you guys ran 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Defensive holding on the defense, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. Oh, now you're moving the ball. Like, it happens all the time. So I'm convinced every single ref is betting on the game. Every single one of them. Because I don't know how many games I watched last year and I'm like, really? You're going to call that a penalty? Interesting. And then the game was close. How many blowouts were there last year? The Bears and Bengals is pretty much, one of them that I remember. Obviously, the Rams had a few blowouts, but that's because the Giants were so woefully pathetic. And did you notice? Did you notice how when the but so are the Browns, but a lot of their games were close. And did you notice when the Texans lost their quarterback? They didn't get it.
They averaged 12, between 12 and 14 points a game.
Right, and all the spreads were always 10 points or more against the Texans, on average. So there's something to it, and I'm convinced they're betting on the game, and no one's going to convince me otherwise. Anyway, you just saw my wife walk by twice. She's giving me a dirty look. All right, Eric, what's the next thing?
I don't know. You want to get into what you want to say?
Well, for me, this is really it. This is the ball game, right?
It could be, depending on if you want to talk about what your rant is.
Well, let me start with the Raven game. I don't make a lot out about preseason. You asked the question, why do coaches do joint practices, and I'll tell you why. They do joint practices to try and up the emotion level at practice. I don't understand, and then the idea is that, there'll be this chance to kind of bond as an opponent with you, with the hope that when you guys play in the game that there won't be any cheap shots, and that everyone's going to be like, hey, I know this guy, I'm just going to hit him. I'm not going to try to kill him. It's preseason. I'm not real worried about it. That's a part of it. From a coaching standpoint, you like it because you get to see what your players can do against a different defense than what they're used to seeing on a daily basis, different talent, different players, and you can really evaluate it. The problem that I have with it...
I get the monotony of practice and what it can be against. So,
the problem...
I just don't like it.
Hold on. The problem that I have with it is it's preseason. Everything's vanilla. You get basic stuff. It's not worth it. It's not worth the risk of the injury. Hey, kiddo. It's not worth the risk of the injury. It's not worth, them seeing some stuff that you have in your arsenal. Okay? So.
To me, it's also, I don't know if you agree with this or not.
No.
Some places you'll be able to do it, some places you won't. But I also don't like the idea of long travel for preseason. So, like the Rams going out to Baltimore, okay?
Yeah.
And I know they were there for 3-4 days, doing 2 days of practice and whatnot. But, why not have a joint practice with the Chargers?
Yeah. Well, they think they did last year.
Okay. Have a joint practice with the Raiders instead.
Or the Cowboys, who practice in LA.
And preseason. But play the Chargers, play the Raiders, whether they're in Oakland or Vegas or wherever they go. Play Dallas, play Houston if you're not playing them that year, or play the Broncos. Limit your travel. I mean, you're already traveling enough because you went to the West Coast.
Yeah.
Or even if you're Seattle, I mean, there's no easy way for them to play local teams unless they play the Raiders every year, or they play the Chargers every year. But limit your time against some of these teams, like the Bears against the Browns. All played in preseason for years, and they're not playing this year. But the Bears and Bengals, perfect opportunity. Bears and New Orleans or Dallas. Keep it close. I mean, I know Chicago to Dallas is the closest, but maybe Kansas City or something. But that's just me. So much travel, especially with teams now going over to London. You don't want to keep racking up those miles and getting tired at the end of the season. I mean, that adds up.
Well, and I agree with you. And for me, if I was the head coach of the Rams, it would be 3 preseason games we play every year. We could alternate where we play, but we play 3 preseason games every year. The Chargers, Dallas, and San Francisco. Every year. Then there's a 4th team that can come in. And maybe that's the Bears if we want to really, or the Packers if we really want to test somebody, maybe see how we stack up against somebody with a little better depth. But that's it. Those are the 3 teams I play every single year. There's no reason not to. The Cowboys practice in California. The Raiders or the Chargers are right there. The Niners are right there. You're right. Limit your travel. It just makes more sense to do it that way. But
who do the Cowboys think they are? Do they think they're the Dodgers who used to play spring training in Florida?
Dallas has been practicing in Irvine, California now, or wherever it is, now since 1971.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
Well, Tom Landry, it's environment. It's bonding. I can tell you exactly. It's actually brilliant because you're away from home. You're away from family. All you can do is focus on football and really bond as a team because what are you going to do? You're going to go hang out with your friends. Well, if you don't have friends but the guys on the team, then you guys are going to go hang out. And you get that experience. Plus, California is beautiful, right? Weather-wise, it's gorgeous. Who doesn't want to be in California, enjoy the beaches? And you could have your family come out for a vacation. Hey, we're going to be off this weekend. Why don't you fly out? Unless
there's a wildfire bearing down on you.
Well, there is that. There is that. But that's low, Eric. But that's true.
One of 12 in the state, it seems like.
Yeah, no, I know. It's crazy. But that's the mentality behind it. It's the same reason that it's the same reason that the I don't want to say that the Sun Devils go to Flagstaff because that's still in Arizona, but it's the same kind of principle. So, all right. Well, we need to address the elephant in the room. So there's a few things that I'm going to mention here before we wrap this up. Number 1, LA Rams Central has 2 more episodes. Okay, and then me and Eric are going to be changing the format. We're going to call it Total Football Talk, TFT. Is what I'm going to abbreviate it and try to find a logo for it. But it's going to cover, we're going to do 2 shows a week. It's going to cover college football. It's going to cover pro football. So we might not necessarily review every single game. You can guarantee we're going to review Ram and Bear games for sure. But then we might highlight like 1 or 2 games each that we really want to talk about that was played through the course of week 1 or week 2. We'll go down the scores, but we won't necessarily go in depth on anything except for a couple of games.
Right. With the NFL segment, let's just reiterate that we're still going to cover the Rams roughly about the same amount. The Bears a little bit more. Probably the same as last season when I've been here. But we're also going to dive deep into other games. Maybe not all of them. We might go through the scores, but other games that may have more storylines than others.
Yeah,
but the Rams and Bears are still our focus.
And I'll even say this, like what I'm thinking about doing, Eric, and I'm spitfiring this to you for the first time now. But what I was thinking is like Rams Bears, so we cover those, right, each. And then maybe I pick 2 games, you pick 2 games, and then we let the fans pick, 2 games. That's a total of 8 games. That's half of the schedule. So everyone should get love at some point during the course of the season. And I think we can get that done in 40 minutes, 45 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if we were doing, you got to figure, we were doing 16 games in what? An hour and 30 minutes? So cut that in half, that's 45 minutes.
Right.
And then,
which then we could take that other 45 minutes and put it toward college.
Well, and that's going to be its own separate show. So the college football show, the way, we still have to work out how we're going to do that. And me and Eric will be talking about that. But that's kind of coming down the pike. So we're going to get to LA Rams Central episode 100. That'll probably be the final episode, is what we were thinking. And then we're going to...
We have a good show planned for that. So
yeah.
You'll definitely want to tune in for 100th episode.
For sure. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're going to transition into Total Football Talk. And the first show for Total Football Talk is going to be one you don't want to miss, because it's not necessarily going to be covering any games, but it is going to be something similar to episode 100. So we'll get to you on that. Okay.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I had hold on, Eric. Steven had the thing blaring so deaf people in Afghanistan could hear it. But the idea is that they're definitely going to want to tune into that, right, Eric?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Tune in, you won't be disappointed.
All right. So now the rant.
Anthony and I can guarantee.
Yeah. So that's the monkey in the room that we wanted to address that we hadn't really dropped on the fans yet. My monologues will probably be continuing periodically throughout as I feel like they're needed, or as I feel like I want to do them, on issues that I feel I can articulate in a way that won't be melting too many snowflakes out there. What do you think of those, by the way, Eric? Have you seen any of them?
I have not
Good.
seen any yet.
Yeah, they're non-football related, so I didn't know if you'd seen them or not. All right. So I'm done. I'm done with the anthem. And if this continues into week 1 with anybody, if this continues to dominate the football conversation, I am telling you right now that Total Football Talk will be a college-only show, because I won't be watching the NFL. And for me to be willing to give up on watching the NFL in a year that we all genuinely believe that my beloved Rams are going to win the Super Bowl, I think it says a lot. But I'm done with it. I don't even know anymore what they're protesting. Police shootings of African Americans in minority communities this year is down 38%, while police shootings are up 112% nationwide. So the police brutality angle that they were talking about has definitely slowed, and there's definitely been progress, and they're still protesting. Black unemployment's at an all-time low. Jobs are at an all-time high. And certain people that I've been listening to on YouTube in those communities are not only coming around, but they're waking up to the ridiculousness of the far left. And now we've got people in Seattle who are leaving the field during the anthem who are players. I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to have my grandfather disrespected, God rest his soul, and I'm certainly not going to have my friend disrespected, who did several tours in Afghanistan, and I've made my opinions on the flag very clear. I've made it very clear how I feel about the flag. I've made it very clear that I understand the original cause of the movement. I didn't agree with the person that was perpetrating or spearheading the movement, wearing Fidel Castro t-shirts and, pigs in cop uniforms on his socks, and then somehow wanting to tell me that I need to be more open-minded and understanding of his feelings, while he clearly could give a flying fart about the life and soul and well-being of the men and women wearing blue. They can die, that's fine, but just don't, upset my group. This identity politics, I'm done with it. I don't tolerate it in my classroom. You are an individual, but you are also a part of a family. You are a part of the American family. You are a part of the Ramley. You are part of the Bear family. You are a part of a community while you are still an individual and should take pride in that. But I don't judge people by the color of their skin or the pigmentation of their skin, if you want me to go fancy schmancy. I judge you by the content of your character. And you think Fidel Castro is somebody worth putting on your body? Then your character is something less than an axe murderer. I think I would rather put more faith in Jeffrey Dahmer than than Fidel Castro. And you're going to wear his t-shirt? I got no respect for you. I got none. We're done. So, considering who was leading the movement, and then it's continuing. Okay, fine. 2016, it was a deal. We brought it to everyone's attention. Fine. 2017, I made it clear. What's the end game? Here we are in 2018. We've had real progress, and we still have a-holes going back to the locker room. So let me tell you guys. My wife's going to hear this for the first time. Don't kill me. I bought tickets to the Ram-Cardinal game here in Arizona. After what the Seahawks pulled yesterday at work during my prep, I canceled the ticket. I'm not going. I'm not watching it. I'm not giving them my money. So if this continues into week 1, Eric, feel free to post the show if you want to do an NFL version. I'm not watching. I'm not paying attention to it. I'll spend time with my kids. I'll go fishing on Sunday. I'll take my wife out on a nice, lunch date. She's happy about that. But
I heard that.
You did, right? But I'm not going to watch it. I don't care. I've lost any kind of, this is the first time in all of my years watching football where I'm not really that excited about the year. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's already preseason. Crap, we got to get some stuff done to get this show going. I don't enjoy the game anymore. Coupled with what I've seen on the field and what's going on off the field. You can beat a woman up, throw her on a bed of AK-47s and slap the taste out of her mouth. That's cool, right? We'll suspend you for a year and we'll make sure that you play. But you tell somebody to get out of their car, they pull a gun on you and you shoot them. Well, now we're drawing the line. We're not going to support this community. That's the end of it. The priorities of these people are messed up. And yeah, I'm talking about the players. Because I can't tell you how many players turned around and supported Rice, supported that douche canoe in Dallas. But then you hear these stories that are, cop shot this person and they didn't do anything wrong. And then you actually read the story and you're like, well, the guy did pull a gun on the cop. Yeah, the cop didn't know it wasn't loaded. But is he supposed to go, I'm sorry, are you going to shoot me or is that loaded? He's not going to sit there and go, sir, is that gun loaded before you fire it upon me? He's going to open fire on you.
Actually, the police officer is saying, hey, is that a gun or are you just happy to see me?
Yeah, right, seriously. So I think we understand that there are bad cops out there that did bad things, which is why, as I said in the very beginning, for those of you that didn't want to listen, I understood the movement. I agree with it. Let's address it. But now we can also sit here and say 2 years later, there's been progress. Let's build on that progress. No, we're still acting like there's nothing that's been done. And the NFL...
That's the problem. That's the problem.
Yeah.
That the NFL can't come to an agreement on something.
Well, they fixed it.
Some of the owners want to just take matters in their own hands, and yet they're getting backlash for it.
Right. And the NFL fixed the problem, or so I thought. I'm like, cool. They're making everyone stand. It's their policy. You're at work. You don't get to protest. That's the way it is at my work. If I go to work tomorrow on Monday and I bring a sign and protest a cause, they're going to tell me to stop. And if I don't stop, they're going to fire me. I don't get to protest at work. Just like they don't. But, what do I know? I only have a business degree, a master's degree in business. I only studied constitutional law. I only know how this whole free market thing works, having taught it for 15 years. But, by all means, it's freedom of speech. You don't get freedom of speech at school. You don't get freedom of speech at work. You don't. You don't get a protest at work is what I'm saying. You don't get freedom of speech at work. You don't get to walk up to somebody and say whatever you want. I mean, you can, but then they can fire you. And there's no you can't turn around and go, I'm going to sue for my First Amendment rights. Sorry, you were at work. You made the work environment uncomfortable for XYZ individual. You're done. Go home. That's harassment. They have a whole slew of things. But, we think we know law or the law But we only twist it and manipulate it to make it fit our narrative. And that's a big problem that we have. So I'm done with it, Eric. I'm just telling you. If this crap, I'm giving it 3 preseason weeks. If this continues into week 1, you'll be doing the NFL show alone. Your take.
It's just getting old. I mean, I don't know what to say anymore, only because,
yeah,
it's just not fun anymore. I mean, you have the stuff that's going on with the anthem, and I don't mean to bring this up, but I'm going to anyways. But you have the president of the United States saying, "Oh, stand up or get suspended without pay." Dude, let the NFL handle it, because what you're doing is not productive. But nobody's doing anything productive in the NFL anyways.
Right, it's a business. Let the business function.
Stay out of it.
Yeah.
Right, stay out of it. And then, you got a couple of the old school owners like Jerry Jones and Stephen Ross, still the owner for the Dolphins?
I don't know, actually.
I forget who the owner is, but he's like, "Oh, we're all going to stand," and Jerry Jones is like, "Oh, we're all going to stand," and then you have Philadelphia Eagles defensive player saying, "Oh, well, Jerry doesn't know what he's talking about." Dude, he's been around football a lot longer than you.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah.
Old school, new school, no school. He's run a pretty successful franchise, if you ask me.
Well, I'll go a step further. Hold on a minute. I'm going to see if they have the owner. They don't. They only have veteran coaching staffs. I was hoping they would have the owner on here. Twitter, ticket, stadium, turf. I don't know if this is true, but I had somebody tell me that they got a text message from a buddy of theirs at the Seahawk game that the line was at least 200 people in the season ticket line after the players got, like, before the first quarter was, had started. Something like 100, 200 people that were season ticket holders got up to go in the season ticket holder line and cancel their tickets for the year. They won their money back. They were getting a refund. This guy had texted my friend because he was at the Seahawk game. Had texted my friend saying, "Dude, I'm in line. There's like 200 of us trying to get our season tickets back, our season ticket money back after what the Hawks just pulled." So, you said no school, and that's really what it's going to boil down to. It's going to be old school trying to help new school to prevent no school. And right now, new school doesn't want to listen to old school, so school's about to be out permanently, forever. So, but that's the typical NFL athlete. Think about yourself only. I would even say that's the typical young person today. Think about yourself only. Who cares about everybody else? It's all about me, 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 me. They're me monsters, right? So,
absolutely.
I don't know. I'm done with it. I'm absolutely, I sound like an old man. It's this young people today, but it really is a mentality that is fostered and encouraged in college, and then they go out to the real world and they're like, wait, people have a problem with this? Like, I don't understand. And it's like, yeah, because we're human beings. We're not idiots. But,
well, to our listeners, prepare yourself for only a college show.
Yeah. Yeah, and it may be a two.
I'll just say that right now, because it'll continue throughout the rest of the preseason. It'll continue into the regular season, and it'll keep continuing until somebody actually has a brain in their head saying it's this way or you don't play. Yeah.
Well, and like I said, the NFL had it figured out. Okay, deal with a little pushback from the union, deal with a little pushback from the players, but in the end, they'll follow suit or they'll lose. This is what the NBA did. It's exactly what the NBA did. And I have no respect for the NBA. I hate the NBA. I can't stand a sport that has no defense. Their idea of a good game is 275 to 271.
Well, good defense was 20 years ago.
No kidding. But I will give the sport credit where credit's due. That they at least understand that this is an issue that is understandable, and it is an issue that should be addressed, but this isn't the way to do it because it offends the very people that you're trying to bring into your cause. So, yeah, I would agree. Prepare for a college football show, because I will give this 3 more weeks and then I am done. And if somebody's like, "Hey, Anthony, you need to do another show," they finally stopped. No. We'll see if it starts up again next year. If by 2019 going into week 1 of 2019, there's been no protesting and everything's calmed down and they've stopped doing it, then I might come back and watch. That is if I'm not into the new league that's going to be forming next year, which I'm going to start watching in January. I'm really excited for that. And then you've got the XFL that's coming out in 2020, so there's going to be 2 new leagues to watch. And I'm going to be fascinated to see how that unfolds. Because apparently there's going to be some very fundamental rule differences between then and there. And Eric, that's the thing for me it boils down to, and that's really where I'm going to wrap this up on my end, is it's the anthem protest. It's the ticket prices, the ridiculous rules and regulations just to go to a football game. How unfriendly the game has become for young people, especially kids, like my son who's 4 and a half, going to be 5. I mean, my 13-year-old has no interest in the sport. It's not interesting to him because it's not, he's watching one of the old games with me. He's like, that guy got kind of killed. And I'm like, yeah, he did, right? We watch games during the year. Guy gets hit. There's a flag stoppage in play. They start talking about it. He loses interest. He gets up and he leaves.
Because it's also 5 hours long.
Like my wife just said, it's also 5 hours long. I watch a baseball game. At least I understand the action as it goes along and it's going to flow. Sometimes there's some monotony with the pitching changes, but it's all a part of the game. The NFL, you got a penalty, there's a 5-second, there's a 10-second conference. And then the team gets a first down, and then it's incompletion, completion for a first down. Incompletion, completion for a first down. Incompletion, punt, commercial. Come back, timeout, commercial. They come out on the field, they run a play. 2-minute warning, commercial.
No, don't get me started. So, okay, let me just touch on this point a little bit.
Okay.
So, the Bears and Ravens were in the Hall of Fame game, and normally I wouldn't watch, but I turned it on for a couple of minutes just to see the Bears and Ravens and listen to Al Michaels. Love Al Michaels.
Yeah.
And so the Bears were driving, and it was about 4:37 left in one of the quarters. And I apologize, I don't remember which quarter it was, but all of a sudden it was like. Al Michaels like, yeah, we're going to make this a little bit more fan-friendly, so you guys can get up and do what you need to, and we're taking a timeout. Commercial comes back, the Ravens call timeout. Oh, really? Are you serious right now? And I'm like, I switched it off right after that. I'm like, I can't handle touchdown, extra point, commercial, kickoff, commercial. Can't handle it.
No.
Like, football is a sport that needs to be on TV, and I'm sorry, you know what? This is why, I know it happens every 4 years, and I might get mocked, I might get laughed at, and that's fine. It's a reason why I like when soccer is on TV, because it's 45 minutes or however long. Obviously, the halves are 45 minutes, but they got stoppage time, and there's no commercial breaks until halftime. Now, I'm not saying football goes to that, because obviously football has quarters, but keep the action going.
Do what hockey does. Hockey takes a break every 7.5 minutes.
14 at the 14-minute mark, 10-minute mark, and the 6-minute mark.
Right. Do that. You fix the problem. Have all the commercials you want during halftime. Have all the commercials you want during the pregame, during the postgame. But come game time, focus on the game. That's not fan-friendly. That's fan-unfriendly. I'm with you. I DVR'd the Ram game. I didn't watch it. I could have sat down. Granted, it was on a little bit later here, but it certainly was on at a time. I think it was on at like 8 o'clock my time is when it was coming on the regular TV, which by then the game had been over, just barely by a few minutes. But I wasn't going to sit and watch that. Even with DVR having a fast forward, hit play, because you're sitting there forever and a day. So it's getting to the point for me where I'm just telling you, we talk about the youth all the time, right? And how the youth are really what determines the popularity of a sport. Both my sons love baseball, hate football. And I know why. First inning starts, you've got 3 outs, and then they go to commercial. But until those 3 outs are gotten, there's no commercial, unless there's a pitching change. And then the commercial's over, my kid goes plays, he comes right back, and he watches the bottom half of the next inning. My son, Elliot, same thing. Sits on the thing, watches, couple of innings, gets up, goes plays, comes back, maybe it's the 4th or 5th inning, and he watches. He will literally sit down, and the minute he hears the football music start for the week 1, he gets up and goes upstairs and goes in his room until the day's over. Doesn't even watch a second of it. Hates it. Doesn't like it. He's 13. My 5-year-old?
It's slow.
Yeah, it is slow. My 5-year-old won't watch it. He'll watch for like a couple minutes, but as soon as it goes to commercial, he leaves. He goes and plays with his toy, gets on his, does his, ABC mouse thing that we have. He'll play with his swords. He'll do his thing. Or what's really funny is he'll come up to me with his glove in baseball and go, "Can we go play baseball outside?" During football games. What does that tell you? The youth is losing interest in the sport, coupled with the fact that parents won't let their kids play in high school, which, because they're overreacting, and high school football could be fixed today. It could be fixed today, and there would never be another death on the football field. Guarantee it, unless it's from exhaustion, and that's the coach's fault. But there would never be another injury another death caused by an injury in football at the high school level. You want me to tell you how? You do it the same way they do it in Pop Warner. How much do you weigh? What is the average weight of your roster? Forget the size. I don't care if you have 150 kids or if you have 35 kids. I don't care if you have 19 kids or you have 119 kids. What is the weight of your athlete? And then make them compete against each other. When I was at Chandler Prep, we had kids on our offensive line that could barely crack 190. And they had to block defensive linemen at Brigade that were somewhere between 290 and 300 pounds. I'm dying to know how that's safe. It isn't. But they don't base it on weight. They base it on size of school. Well, this school only has 800 kids enrolled, so they're going to be at this division. They should do away with that. And there would never be another death caused by an injury. Ever. But they don't. And they won't. Because high school football is just as much of a college game or run like a college game as the college game is. And the college game is run like a pro game. So essentially at every level, it's run like it's professional football. You talk to some of these high school coaches out here in Arizona, and they really think they're like the next Bill Belichick. And then you go into basic X's and O's, and you're like, or you go into really detailed X's and O's, like the type of X and O's where your guy has to actually not only adjust during the play. This is one of the things I used to do. Used to frustrate the heck out of offenses. And they told me that kids can't learn this, but they do. I had a defensive formation that right up until the snap of the ball, you thought it was a 46 defense. And as the ball was snapped, everyone moved, then attacked the football, and dropped into a 43 Eagle. That's the crap they do in the NFL. Right? I had high school coaches that quarterbacks see that, they freak out. They used to throw it literally right to our defensive end because they were freaked out and they were trying to get rid of the ball because they had pressure coming from a corner. Right? And then I'm talking to this high school coach after this game, and he's like basically acting like he knows more than me because I'm not a head coach. And I'm like, dude, I just dissected your offense for 48 minutes. Destroyed you tonight. And you know more than me because you have HC next to your name? Yeah, you're an idiot. So it's frustrating. But to me, it's you're right. Buckle up. It's going to college football. And everything that you might have heard my wife say in the background here is true. It's boring. So I'm glad you brought that up about the Bears and Ravens game, Eric. You want to add more on that? Like another frustration that you have as far as, because I don't know about you, but like these new 30-second timeouts during play that will be like they'll actually snap the ball and start playing football, and I got to listen to a gosh darn Lowe's friggin' commercial that's 30 seconds long.
I haven't watched much of the preseason to comment.
That happened last year. I'm talking about what happened last year during games. They'd split screen it. You'd hear the Lowe's commercial. The commentating for the game would start mid-play, and then they would cut it off, and you'd see the play, but you wouldn't hear the commentating because you're listening to this guy saying why I need to buy a screwdriver.
Yeah, I could do away with that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. You and the rest of the country. All right.
Right.
Well, the only way it's going to change, Eric, is if people don't watch. And I'm one of the few people out there, at least, that I know of that I will not preach what I will not do. So if I'm preaching it, I'm going to do it. So when I say come week 1, if this continues, and I don't care if it's the Rams or not, if I hear that this happened in New York, I'm done. I'm turning off the television. I'm getting my bat and glove. I'm taking my boys to the park, and we're going to go play baseball. And then I'll come back and I'll look for a baseball game on my MLB network show, or my MLB station. Hockey's going to start in October. I'll probably get back into watching that again more consistently than I used to. So, I mean, I have options, and I'll use them. And then there's always college football, because God knows we love that sport. So we'll at least do a college show. Anyway, that's all I got. You got anything on your end?
I'm good on my end.
All right. Hopefully you guys aren't too upset, or maybe you agree with us completely. Please comment, hit the notification bell. As if it works, YouTube likes to screw with stations that they don't agree with. So if they happen to be for the anthem, who knows, this show might even get cut off. But that's another story for another time. Go ahead and, comment, like if you like what we said, thumbs down if you think we're idiots. Wouldn't be the first time I was called that. And just hopefully you guys enjoy it. Episode 98 is done. Episode 99, and then we hit the fun 100, and then we start the new format. So I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
And go Rams!